This is a quick video on how I fixed a defective Chamberlain garage door opener. We suspect that our house was recently hit by lightning, and we found that the lights on the garage door opener would blink and you would hear a clicking sound every 4 to 5 seconds. And the panel was completely unresponsive as well. And when I looked at the control buttons on the side of the garage door opener, the little button would blink twice and then the up and down buttons would blink simultaneously once. Quick suggestion to Chamberlain, I think you guys could improve upon this error message a little by adding a soundtrack to it. The first thing I did to attempt to bring it back to life was I unplugged the power. The model I have also has a battery backup, so I had to go around to the other side of the garage door opener and remove this little panel so that I could disconnect the wires from the battery to completely remove power. I let everything sit for a minute and then I reconnected the power, but this didn't work for me. Despite that, if you're having the same issue, I would still suggest trying this first because all of the other troubleshooting steps cost money. At this point, I gave Chamberlain tech support a call, and they were actually pretty helpful. The person I spoke to immediately recognized this as a logic board failure, so I decided to start tearing it down to get to the logic board. The first step is to remove the wires to the safety sensors and the control panel, and get the light bulb out of the way. Then there are 4 screws around the side of this thing that you'll have to remove to get to the innards. If you're in this same situation, you'll have to do your own cost-benefit analysis to determine if it's worth fixing or not. In my case, getting a comparable model, whole brand new system from Home Depot would have ran me about $245. So you have to compare this to just buying the receiver board from Chamberlain for $150 to repair a 4-year-old garage door opener. A reasonable person would probably just spring the extra $90 and buy the whole brand new garage door opener, but being reasonable is not really my thing, so repair I shall. With the screws removed, you should be able to slide the side panel out so that you can see the wires behind it. The wires are only long enough so that you can get your hands back there to work, so it was rather difficult to get a good camera angle here. But basically what I'm doing in this step is just disconnecting all of the wires from the logic board. The one wire that I couldn't seem to remove no matter how much I fiddled with it was the one for this damn light bulb. So I just had to accept defeat with this one and let the side cover dangle. So when you turn the side cover around, you'll see the logic board. It's held in place by 2 screws, so I removed both of those. Then I just had to pull the antennas through the side cover and the logic board came right out. So this is what it looks like. There's not a whole lot to it. I couldn't find any useful part numbers on the board itself, so I used the part numbers that I got from the Chamberlain person on the phone, but I confirmed that this part number was in the owner's manual as well. I'll leave a link to all this down below in the description. So I checked on eBay first, and I did find a seller with the logic board that I needed, so I went ahead and bought this one. And a couple days later I had the new logic board in hand in all of its bubble wrap glory. There's not a whole lot to mention. The new board was a slightly newer revision, so there were subtle differences, but they're pretty much the same part. I went ahead and installed the new logic board in the side cover here. There are plastic clips that grab onto it, so it kind of snaps in place. Then I put the 2 screws back in place that I took out earlier. Then it was time to reconnect the wires to the new logic board, and this was definitely the most painstaking part of the whole project. Again, the cables are just barely long enough that you can get your hands back there to work, and there's not really a good way to show it on camera, so I'm going to go ahead and fast forward through all this. But once I had all the wires reconnected, I was able to put the side cover back on the garage door opener. Then I put the 4 screws back in place to hold the side cover on. And I put the light bulb back in just for fun. Then I plugged the power in and realized I'm an idiot because I forgot to reconnect all the wires. So I unplugged the power cord again and then reconnected the wires for the safety sensors as well as the control panel. So with that done, I reconnected the power for Sirius this time. Since replacing the logic board is pretty much a full-blown brain transplant, I had to reprogram the travel limits for the garage door. To do that, I just pressed and held the learn button. It's the one between the up and down arrows. Then I heard a beep and the up arrow started blinking. Then I had to hold down the up arrow until the garage door was all the way in the desired open position. And then tap the learn button once, and then repeat this step using the down arrow to program the travel limits for closing the door. And once again press the learn button. At this point the up arrow should be blinking again. You tap that once and then it does kind of a test run opening the door using the travel limits that you just programmed. And then again the same thing happens with the down arrow. And after that you're done programming the travel limits, so this completes this step. You'll notice I'm still getting this blink code where the up arrow blinks once and the down arrow blinks 3 times. Hopefully you don't have this at this point, but more on that later. It was also necessary to reprogram the remotes. To do that I hit the yellow button on the garage door opener once. And then I hit the button on the remote, and the lights on the garage door opener flashed. I hit the button on the remote once more, and then the door began opening, which confirmed that the remote was successfully programmed. I confirmed that I was also able to close the door with the remote, and then I repeated these steps with the second remote as well. And now for the panel. It was still dead. Remember that blink code? 1 up arrow, 3 down arrows? Well, according to the owner's manual, that refers to a faulty door control. I'm guessing that since the panel plugs into the logic board and the whole thing got hit by lightning, it probably just zapped this too. I guess it's possible that it could have messed up the safety sensors as well, but I don't have any kids, and I don't care about your kids.
Fuck, I could watch kids fall off bikes all day. I don't give a shit about your kids.
A replacement panel was on Chamberlain's site for $64. So back to eBay I go. Apparently it cost $10 more to manufacture one of these with the word Chamberlain on it, so I went ahead and purchased the LiftMaster variant. At this point it was looking like that new garage door opener was definitely the more reasonable choice, but we're balls deep at this point, it's too late to turn back now. Alright, so this part's pretty easy. I just had to disconnect the wires that lead off to the panel. I expected that the replacement panel would include new wires as well, so I fished them out of the staples that I had holding them to the ceiling. The replacement panel that I got was just the panel. It did not come with new wires, so I had to reuse these. In hindsight, I really didn't need to fish the wires out like this. I could have just left them in place and swapped the panels. To remove the panel from the wall, you flip up the top button and then that exposes a screw that you can remove. And then the panel just slides up and out. So this is the replacement panel I got from eBay. It looks to be the exact same part, just different branding. Since I'm reusing the wiring, I loosened the 2 screws on the back of the old panel so that I could disconnect them. Then I connected the wiring to the new panel, red to red and white to white, and I tightened both screws down. Then I put the panel back on the wall and I tightened the screw down to hold it in place. Then I reran the wire from the panel to the garage door opener that I didn't need to remove in the first place. Then I reconnected the wires from the panel to the garage door opener and hey, look at that, the panel works. With the panel working again, I was able to navigate through the menus and set the time on it and get it reconnected to the Wi-Fi and all that stuff. This video is already long enough though, so I'm not going to go into detail on any of that. Considering I got the logic board for $125 and then the panel for $41, I guess I came out ahead of if I just replaced the whole system. I don't know, whatever. It's fixed. Thanks for watching. Oh, and buy a surge protector.